financial problems, elder law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by Thav Gross. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Hi, welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. We're going to talk on this segment about shopping. The season of giving is also the season of spending, and we're going to focus on what does that mean?
Oh, I think it means what are we supposed to buy for you, Ken?
You know, I need a new coffee cup. My coffee cup that I use, the little thing
With the
that
logo,
holds
right?
it.
With the logo, because that's
Yeah, I would. Well, we get logos if we're still waiting on Brian for the Law and Reality.
What's wrong with the coffee cup you have? It doesn't work?
The cover top keeps falling off.
Well, you keep putting it back on.
Yeah,
I hear
but
it clicking.
It should be. It's a Caribou cup, and it's getting old because Caribou. There's 3 locations left.
So what do you want to do with things that get old?
You get rid of you?
We could have them shot.
Can we talk about shopping?
Where's he going?
Why does the Law and Reality show always get derailed in the first 2 minutes?
Yeah. And when did you get your ARP card?
I have not gotten an ARP card.
When
I'm
did
an
you
ARP.
become eligible?
I'm what you call.
He became eligible over 10 years ago.
I'm an AH, ARP holdout.
You
An
are
ARP
an
holdout?
AH. That I will agree with.
An AH?
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't it an AK?
No.
No. You'll
Moving
get it.
on.
Thank you, guys. I got that.
Wait. Did you see the light bulb go on?
Yeah, I got that. Oh, that's sad. Okay, let's talk about holiday spending. Anyway, Wall Street Journal recently said in an article they're expecting the International Council of Shopping Centers expects a 4% increase in retail sales this holiday season and an increase of 7.3% in seasonal employment. Now, first question I said when I read this is, has the International Council of Shopping Centers ever predicted a decline in holiday sales from the previous year at the start of the season? I wonder.
I would say they've hinted that
Maybe.
things were going to be bad. They
Maybe
never
in the
predicted
heart of the recession.
depression. Yes.
I actually think it's a really interesting statistics. They're saying we're going to employ more people during the holiday season, and they're expecting retail sales to increase, except with the internet, I don't think that people go out as much. And if they're, I don't know if they're including in that statistic internet sales, because I'll tell you, I don't go to the mall. I don't do that during
they're
that.
definitely including internet sales. But there was an interesting thing I just read recently. Amazon was opening up a retail store. I think it was in New York.
They compete against Walmart.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting. It was their first retail outlet, because I see retail going like you're saying, Brian. I see drone delivery of goods onto your porch coming in the horizon.
What is the
be from Alibaba too, not from Amazon.
I mean, you order something from Amazon right now, you have it practically the next day. It's incredible how fast the delivery
and if you
system
deliver
is.
with Prime, you get it for free shipping. I mean,
but you
pay $100 a year for
you
Prime.
lose the fun of
Yeah, but if you
going
order
to the
enough, it
stores.
pays for itself.
Speaking which of the stores, the other thing in this article that it says is that you're going to probably see a tremendous number of the major retailers staying open the entire Thanksgiving day.
That is an abomination.
I agree with that.
There is absolutely
family
it's an
time.
unacceptable decision by any retailer to take people and force them to work on a holiday, which has been traditionally a non-working day. It's one of the very few. You had
So you feel
Thanksgiving,
bad for the people
Christmas,
that are stuck
and New
working.
Year's. Absolutely.
Okay.
And the fact that they have to show up at work for midnight because the store's open at midnight is ridiculous,
I guess
just as ridiculous.
Brian feels strongly about it because Ed felt just as strongly about it and set out his position in 4 seconds. And Brian, if I didn't cut him off, would be talking about this for the rest of the segment. So you feel very strongly about this, to use Milt's favorite word. Very extremely strong feelings and emotions about this issue, Brian. Thank you. David, do you have an opinion?
About being open on Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Well, my opinion is this: is the internet's open on Thanksgiving.
Is your segment on this?
With the internet open on Thanksgiving, retailers, it's a dying breed. I mean, let me give you an example real quickly. A couple days ago, I had to find a part for the flapper for the toilet. Okay, so I go over to Home Depot, and I said I need a flapper, Kohler, general part. Guy's looking at me, tries to sell me something. I know it's not the right part. I won't buy it. He says, "Oh, you got to go over to a specialty store that's not open and whatnot." I said, "Okay." I went home. I looked on the internet. I found the exact part, and Amazon had it shipped in 48 hours, and it was like $8.
Right.
Why would I go anywhere else?
Okay, can I just ask one question? What are your thoughts on staying open on Thanksgiving?
What I'm telling you is,
yes
what I'm
or
telling
no?
you is,
yes or no, Counselor?
for survival of those businesses, they have to be open. So do you want to see the brick and mortar dying? Then keep them closed when everyone else is open. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
He didn't answer the question.
He said he thinks they have to stay open for their own survival. He didn't say whether he thought it was a good thing or a bad thing. He thinks it's a good thing because they have to survive and it's important.
You know,
to
and
have
if
brick
someone
mortar.
wants to get paid double time and they'll jump at it,
Well, the
and they
problem
need it,
is if they
fine.
want to get paid double time, but if they're being compelled to work on Thanksgiving, it's
a
I mean,
difference.
to me, that's the one holiday in the U.S. that everybody comes home for Thanksgiving dinner, and it's kind of
Outside of Christmas, it is it.
Yeah, you can start shopping at midnight.
Hold on.
Yeah.
For 100 years, you've gone to the movies on Thanksgiving. Those people have had to work. The suppliers had to work.
I don't
Everyone
go to
had,
Thanksgiving.
yeah,
movies
people
on
go to the
Thanksgiving.
movies.
People go to the
all
movies. People go to
time.
the football game.
Okay, so the
Football
people in the
line.
concession have to work. So they're expanding it.
All right. Well, okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. All right. Brian, it is time for the Financial Crisis Talks and an update of the segment from Brian Small at They Have Gross. What do you have for us, Brian?
Issue: house is underwater. What do you want to do about it? And how do you deal with it? If you A, want to exit the house, B, if you want to stay in the house, and how long can you stay in the house even though you don't really want to keep this underwater house that will never ever be worth what you owe on it again? And here's the answer. First of all, you got a whole bunch of housing strategies. So let's start off with, if your house is underwater, you can seek a loan modification to lower your ongoing monthly mortgage payment. It's still not going to put equity back in the house, but what it's going to do is allow you the opportunity to afford the house, keep the house, and keep your kids in school if you don't want to move. But if you do want to move, you modify the mortgage, and then we file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy for you. Why? Because you've eliminated your personal responsibility to pay the debt. Yet, with the house being underwater and the mortgage modified, now you can live there as long as you want, but when it's time to leave, because your kid is out of high school and it's time to move on, you can walk away and you don't owe the bank any more money.
So this would be you can have your cake and eat it too.
Absolutely.
What about the tax write-off on the short
You know what? I'll give you a quick update on that, which is that the Mortgage Forgiveness Act of 2007 expired December 31, 2013. However, it's pending renewal in Congress
and we'll
after the
cover it
November election.
right
We'll talk
after
more
the
after the break.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Thav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
You like your job. What you don't like is the way your boss has been treating you. He's making comments about how you look instead of your work, and he's been touching you inappropriately. If you complain, is he allowed to fire you? Absolutely not. Unwelcome sexual comments, advances, and contact are illegal in the workplace. Make him pay. Gold Star Law is here to help you through your employment law problem, whatever it is.
Gold Star Law, protecting employees' rights. Call 1-800-WAGES-10 for a free consultation today.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call Thav Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. there is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call Fav Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Every family has the family meeting, and we all know what that means. Dad's got dementia. What are we going to do? What's the care plan that the family has in place? Usually they don't, or they struggle with a care plan. When you go home tonight and you talk to your tax person and you talk to your financial person, say, what's the plan that you have in place? And as soon as they don't give you an answer, give me a call, because I can do it for you.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Thav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Thav Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, welcome back. Right when we went to the break, Ed asked the question of what happened with the issue on short sales and is the release of indebtedness going to be taxable? The law actually expired 12/31/13. It's supposed to get extended. It's part of the tax extender bill, which is about 40 or 50 tax provisions that typically get extended by the end of the year. It passed the Senate back in August, but it got held up in the House. All the experts that I read were saying that it wasn't going to get back on the floor until right after the November election. Brian, you said you had read something recently that there might be some issues with it. Give it to us real quick.
Well, just that they're talking about piecing it out a little bit. But the problem with that is that the IRS has to have these laws passed in order to produce the tax returns for next year. And so the longer Congress waits, the longer it is before you're going to be able to file your tax return, which is going to cause a significant delay to the taxpayer to get their refunds.
My point is this. I think it will get passed. If you have a pending short sale, you should have analyzed the situation to see if you have a potential tax problem if that bill is not passed. And if that's the case, you should delay the closing until you know whether that law is being put into play. If you need help with that, you should call us.
Isn't that a struggle with a lot of the brokers out there? Because a broker doesn't get paid.
Broker wants to close.
Well, the brokers have gotten better at respecting the rights of potential sellers on short sales in the last 3, 4, 5 years. I think they have. They're cognizant of certain protections, rights to kibosh it if there's no forgiveness.
They still want to close.
But if they don't close, they don't eat. Right. And that's the system that we have.
Yeah, that puts them in an inherent conflict. That's why I've always said that if you're really doing a short sale, you need an independent, like a lawyer who comes in like what we do. We're the bad guys. All we want to do in a short sale is make sure that you get off the hook to the lender on the deficiency.
It's not a bad guy. The lender also wants...
That's our job.
The lender also wants a house that's being cared for, and if there's someone in there that can't afford the house and it's deteriorating, there's a win-win. We're not so bad.
But sometimes...
Take it back.
Take it back. I'll take it back conditionally.
No.
Sometimes the lender says we want $20,000 more. We have to come in there and say no. And now what we do is we go to the broker and we say, you know what? You better go to the buyer and get the $20,000 because if you don't get it out of the buyer, your commission's going down. Brokers don't like to hear that, but we have to send a message that says seller has no money to kick in. You make that hard play, and then you kind of compromise it at the end and find a way to make a deal. But you got to play hardball, and you got to look out for the seller. The broker's compromised because he has to look out for himself. He's done his job. I'm not critical of the broker. His job's to find the buyer. Once he finds the buyer, he should want to get the deal closed.
And should be entitled to get paid.
Yes, absolutely. But sometimes
it's the lender that
everybody has to give in a little bit to make a deal work sometimes. All right, back to shopping. There's an economic conundrum that I always talk about. Is that
EC?
Sales go up, okay? Credit card, people charge, you ramp up your credit cards. It's not a good thing because you end up with credit card debt. But as consumer spending increases, that's the key to driving our economy. 65 to 70% of our GDP is controlled by consumer spending. And consumer spending goes up, gross product goes up, more jobs are created, the economy grows. That's a good thing for the economy. The problem is, where does that leave the consumer who all of a sudden now has $50,000 of credit card debt? The credit card industry is happy The politicians are happy because we have more growth and consumer spending's up. The market is happy because consumer spending up. But what about Bob?
Because there's no.
What about
well,
Bob,
because,
who now has 60,000 a credit card
because
debt?
what
I've
has
seen that movie.
But what has occurred?
Yeah. What about Bob's movie?
What has
Good movie.
occurred is that there was no RCCD, correct?
No
RCCD.
Oh, it's like
I figured out when
like
you
a
said
choir.
that I was an AH. It took me a while. RCCD is going to take me some time. Can we have a hint?
what RC? Yeah, I'm going to
Thank
give
you,
you a hint.
Joe, in
I'm
the
just going to
background
tell
there.
you. Okay.
R.
Responsible credit card debt. So you have two different avenues. Of course, it's
Do you know that?
RCCD.
Of course.
That's excellent.
If you incur the credit card debt in a manner where you get that shot, where you got to get that furnace replaced or that big ticket item, but you have an avenue that you're able to get past the hump and pay down the principal, that's
How quickly?
RCCD. In a reasonable
Get
period
rid
of
of it
time.
in
It
3
all
to
depends.
6 months max.
Right. But it's when you get into that spot that you can't, then you're dealing with Bob.
I want to talk about Bob. Bob now he's gone through a couple holiday seasons. He didn't pay off the debt. He makes $120,000 a year. He's in a 25% tax bracket, and he's got $60,000 of credit card debt.
You want to know why?
And he's got available credit, and the holiday shopping season is upon him, and he wants to spend another $10,000 on holiday shopping.
On Thanksgiving Day, because everything's open now.
And on Friday after, and any time up until, Bob may be the guy who shows up on Christmas Eve to buy the gifts. What difference does it make?
Could be 2 a.m.
Here's the point for Bob. If he's got $60,000 of credit card debt and he can't pay it off, and he's paying it at 20% interest, that's $12,000 a year. His minimum payments are typically 2.5% of the credit card debt, which on $60,000 is $1,500 a month, which is $18,000 a year. Do you know how much money Bob has to make in gross income in order to pay his taxes and net him $18,000 a year?
Yeah.
How much?
$24,000.
And how do you know that?
Because it's on the outline.
You take his $18,000 and you divide that by 1 minus 0.25, his tax bracket. So you divide it into 0.75. That means he has to make $24,000. Do you know what percentage $24,000 is of his $120,000 income? Brian, do you know that?
20%.
How do you know that?
Because it's on the outline.
There you
There you
go.
go.
So what does that say? Bob's taking 20% of his gross income every year
To pay the juice.
to pay the credit card debt. Now, that's paying more than the interest because the interest was only $12,000. But when Bob gets into that situation, he can never pay off the credit card debt. Why? Because he has no available cash. He has no savings. All he has is available credit.
Because
so he pays down the cards and then he brings the cards back up.
Bob is living beyond his means. You cannot, as a consumer, spend every penny that you make. And that's where 99.99% of everybody that's listening
He's living
is.
beyond his means now because he's got himself saddled with the credit card debt.
No,
He
no.
shouldn't have got. I don't
He
care. I don't
lived
care.
beyond his
I
means
don't
to
care
put
about
the
that.
credit card
I
debt
don't-
on the credit card.
I don't care about that. Why do you care about that? I care about Bob now.
Because
What
Bob
about now?
Because
If Bob gets rid of the credit card debt,
Bob
he should
still
be
is
able
going to
save that
repeat the
$1,500.
behavior unless Bob can learn how to
Bob
live
is
within
not
his
going to
means.
repeat the behavior if he can get rid of the credit card debt. We'll take a break.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
Worth Ave Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Going from hourly to salary seemed like a good career move, but now you're working 60 hours a week instead of 40, and you aren't getting paid any of that extra time. You're stuck, right? Wrong. You can be on salary and still be entitled to overtime. If you've been wrongly denied such pay, you may be entitled to that and more. Gold Star Law is here to help you through your employment law problem, whatever it is.
Gold Star Law, protecting employees' rights. Call 1-800-WAGES-10 for a free consultation today.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call Thav Gross.
You don't need to be broke. and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call Fav Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Every family has the family meeting, and we all know what that means. Dad's got dementia. What are we going to do? What's the care plan that the family has in place? Usually they don't, or they struggle with a care plan. When you go home tonight and you talk to your tax person and you talk to your financial person, say, what's the plan that you have in place? And as soon as they don't give you an answer, give me a call, because I can do it for you.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Thav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Thav Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, welcome back. All right, what about Bob? We're going to come back to Bob in a second. I want to do quick announcements. Free report on Social Security income, because we're doing a continuing segment on Law or Reality of I've turned 60. What's coming from the standpoint of Social Security, Medicaid, elder law, estate planning, and those issues. Pat Simasco's leading us through that. He's not with us for this segment, but he's put together a free report, Retiree Guide to Social Security. You want that report? It's at ssifreereport.com. We then go to that link, and we will email you the report. You can also call our offices at 888-235-HELP. We have a report Brian and I put together on Reg X, how the hidden secrets, how to save your home. That report is free as well. Go to regxhomesaver.com. Also on the Law and Reality website, there is the Financial Crisis Analyzer, which you click right there, and you can then go and get an analysis of your finances and what your options are. Well, I want to thank our sponsors, Gold Star Law, Simasco Law, Trips Auto Shop and Collision Center in Jackson, U.S. Staffing in Jackson and Lansing, and also Thav Gross. We have an upcoming seminar Wednesday, November 19th called Control Your Debt, which ties right into our conversation that Brian and I are about to get into on What About Bob. Controlling your debt is how do you get rid of the debt so that you can put that money in the bank and save it rather than just continuously paying your credit card debt for the rest of your life. Seminars are free. They are well attended. They are well received. You want to sign up for it, go to thavgross.com or lawandreality.com, or the same old way, you can pick up the phone and call 888-235-HELP.
Ken, more importantly, okay, yes or no, Brady Hoke going to make it the year?
Yes.
Is he going to make it next year?
Don't know.
Don't know or no?
No.
Brian?
The bigger question was, is the sports guy administrator going to be still there?
Brandon, yes or no?
Yeah.
Brandon, gone. Hoke, gone.
Obviously, at the break, something like
broke.
A flu bug attacked the room, and U of M came over your head or something.
Well, Todd sent me a text.
I'm
so
talking
I had to
about Bob.
Talk about it.
I'm talking about
Bob.
What about Bob?
All right.
So, Brian, when we got into it, what I was saying to you is, here's Bob's situation. He's got $60,000 of credit card debt. In that situation, he has no disposable cash available to him because he has to make the minimum payments on the credit cards, and he's afraid if he doesn't do it, the world will come to an end. And for that reason, all of his disposable income now is going to pay the credit cards.
And Bob's got to get rid of that credit card debt, either through debt resolution, bankruptcy, or finding a bag of money.
Because if he does get rid of the debt, here's what I say happens. Instead of putting that $1,500 a month over to the credit card companies for the rest of his life, he can put it into savings. He puts it into savings, and it's savings at 7.5% tax deferred, $1,500 a month in 10 years. David, do you know how much that would be?
If I had to take a guess, it would be $266,897.47.
And how do you know that?
I just did it in my head.
Brian, in 20 years, do you know how much that would be?
I'm guessing it's probably around $830,600.25.
And how do you know that?
Because it's in the outline.
Right.
Even if you're not able to take the full 1,500 and you have some more quality
Everybody
of life,
should have an outline.
and you
Yeah,
can
you
have
should.
quality of life. If you take half of those numbers, it's night
It's
and day.
retirement
That's
money. So
great,
when
though, that you put the
get
money
to,
away for retirement.
You get to 75, and all of a sudden you have $2,200 a month coming in on Social Security. If you don't have retirement money, this is reality. You do not have enough money to have shelter, food, and transportation.
But at 55, you still have an issue that overrides everything else. When you get rid of the credit card debt, you can't just be there.
You can't let yourself get back into the credit card
Right.
debt.
And how do
agree
you
with
do
completely.
that? You've got to set aside a sum of money for emergencies, for the furnace that was going to push you back into credit card debt. You've got to have a floor below which you cannot go other than for emergencies that is liquid savings available to help you get through an emergency.
I completely agree with you. And whether you take all of that $1,500 a month and you put it into tax-deferred savings, or some of it is in non-tax deferred savings as an emergency fund, and the other is in your tax-deferred savings, you're still far better off because you create a situation where you have money to live on. Now, once you've got rid of the credit card debt, does life end? No. You don't need a credit card. I go shopping. I don't use credit cards. If I want to buy a pair of jeans, I peel out the $20 bills and I put them on the table and I buy it. And you want to know something? I used to use credit cards, and I didn't think twice about spending $150 for a pair of jeans. Now, I want the jeans on sale,
It's
and I want to
easy.
make sure they fit perfectly, and I want to make sure I really want them before I part with the cash. You know
It's
what?
easy
I enjoy
to
that a lot
swipe
more.
that card. It's swipe, swipe, swipe. We don't think about the card, whether it's even if it's your debit card. You don't think about it as being money. But if you start carrying cash, $100 bills, $50 bills, watch how hard it is to actually physically spend them. We don't. We have a psychological thing about breaking a big bill.
Actually, absolutely, totally
We
agree with
do.
you.
And now the other problem you
when I
could
get
have to-
100, I won't break
But
it.
the problem is the fact now you got them the fact you can go to Kentucky Fried Chicken, just show them your cell phone. The cell phone pays for your chicken now.
Not good. Plus, it's very greasy stuff. It's not.
I know.
It's not good for you. All right. Well, what about Bob? Shouldn't he be worrying about the economy? Shouldn't Bob continue the $60,000 of credit card debt
Bob should be
to help
worrying
grow
about
our
his
economy?
own economy.
He should worry about Bob and Bob's family. That's what
Absolutely.
Bob's responsibility is. What about Bob's credit score?
Who cares?
Well, what if he needs to buy a car?
You know what? First of all, if you can put away the cash, you can pay cash for a car. But if you need a car, you know what? Your credit score is going to heal itself. It will get better. Get rid of the debt, and short term, your credit score is hurt. Long term, it will rehabilitate itself.
When you're 75 years old, you cannot sell your credit. You cannot sell your credit score in order to put money in the bank to live on. You need to have cash in the bank when it comes time to retire. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Ed, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
We'll be back.